myself a lobster roll, which was very tasty, and enjoy some time on near the water with my family. Yeah, Evelyn, I know for everybody who just joining us, I was actually late to class today, and I'll be giving myself an infraction. Manny will be writing it up for me, so thank you for that, Manny. I'm going to lose $10 on my paycheck this week, and I'm very sad about that. Um, yes, no, but you're good. Everyone's good. You're not going to get an infraction. You're not going to get a late. That was my fault today. My previous meeting went a little bit over time, so you're all here. You're all on time. Take a deep breath. You're not going to lose any money. So, all right, good. 50 infractions. Wow, David, you're a very tough person to work with. 50 infractions for being 1 minute late. All right. I'm not going to ever work for David as my boss, man. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. This is Unit 3, Lesson 2, Time Management, Project Management. We got Mr. Usman Ba as our assistant instructor. Usman, how are you?
I'm fine, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for asking. Usman, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Guinea, West Africa, but I lived in Brooklyn for the last 12 years. And the interesting fun fact about me is I love soccer. Mainly one of my favorite players, Zinedine Zidane. The greatest, most gifted soccer player I've ever seen.
Awesome. Do you also play, Usman, or just watch?
No, I play, but I'm nowhere as good as him.
Well, very few people are, I suppose. And why did you join Europe, Usman?
I joined Europe because I'm looking for betterment. I'm looking to create a better future for myself and my family.
Excellent. I love it. I'm sure a lot of people are nodding their heads, agreeing that that's why they joined Europe. And what is a question that you want to pose to our group today, Usman?
If you could go, what would you rather, go back in time or go forward in time?
And you can pick, and Usman, just to follow up, can you pick like what year you go to?
Let's say you could go back and start from birth or jump to 40.
You can either go back to birth or you can jump to your 40th birthday. All right. So, Usman, which one would you pick as people populate the chat box? Would you rather go back to being a baby the day you were born, or would you rather go
back to be an infant? Because I would be like that, the richest 18-year-old ever.
Okay. So you're bringing your knowledge back with you that you acquired so far in life. Yeah, I think I would also pick the same. I mean, to be honest, 40 is only 7 years away from me, so it's not like that's that exciting. So to me, I can probably tell you what's going to happen in the next 7 years, and my kids are going to grow up. My back's going to hurt more. Hopefully I get, all that stuff. But go back to birth with the knowledge I have now. Yeah, I think I would probably take that one. So it looks like it's a good question, Usman. We got a mixed bag here. People are saying baby. Just as long as it's not 2020. True, good point. Forward, jump to 40. Do I get to be the same age? Well, you're going back to like the time that you were born, but you know everything that you know now. Or you could just jump to your 40th birthday. Yeah, that's a good question. Would you have the same body at 40? Like, would you still be as, in the same shape? That's a good ripple into this question. So probably when I was a baby. Yep. All sorts of good answers there. Thank you so much, Usman, for being today's assistant instructor. Appreciate you and appreciate you being here today. Really quickly, before we jump into the lesson, I did want to show off and brag about one of your fellow colleagues, Mr. Jesus. Jesus submitted his work early for the essay that was due, and I just want to share it with everybody because he undoubtedly hit the ball out of the park. And if you do what he did, you yourself can earn A on this deliverable. So there's been some confusion. How do I do this? This is how you do it. Usman, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. So here is the essay that Jesus wrote. So essentially what he's saying is okay, I'm making my 45K annually. That means 1/3 of my income should be paying for rent. That means I have $15,000 a year to pay for rent. So he breaks it up by a month-to-month cost. And he chose that he was going to go to Putnam Avenue in Ridgewood, Queens. A couple of the reasons why he chose that one is it had free Wi-Fi, it has laundry. That was really beneficial because that's going to save him some money down the road, which is great. This will leave room for his food expenses. There is a small kitchen, but he can get a hot plate for that. And plus, I don't know if Jesus likes cooking, but when I was Jesus's age, I would just eat Chinese food every day. So I didn't really ever cook anything. Maybe like hamburger helper like once a week if I was really feeling, motivated to cook. But I didn't really cook that much when I was young. Love what he did here is access to the M train, the Q58 bus. Also, this was excellent too. He look at the demographics of the community. That's important. I mean, I don't know about you, but I want to live in a place that has good diversity. He wanted an A+ for nightlife, which is great for a young man. That's important. Good school system. If he decides down the road he wants to raise his family in this neighborhood. So this is what he said I would do. I'd pick a studio, Ridgewood, Queens. These are the reasons why. What I love about this essay is that he gave clear rationale on why he chose to live there. That's what a project manager does. A project manager justifies his or her cost by giving reasons why I chose to live in this place. So excellent job. That is an A+ effort. Jesus, do you want to unmute yourself and say thank you everybody or anything like that? I saw you unmuted yourself. I don't know if you want to share something.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you, Eric, for sharing my work, and thank you to everyone who also thanked my work. So,
yeah, absolutely, Jesus. Thank you. The only thing is, if you recall, when John was here on Monday, he talked about how you have to poke holes into your own plan. So if I was going to poke a hole into Jesus's plan, like if he showed me this and said, "Hey, Eric, what do you think about this for my first apartment?" The only thing that I would say is the shared Wi-Fi could be questionable, only because you have other people in the building who are playing video games, streaming Netflix, all that good stuff. It can make your own Wi-Fi very laggy. So if Jesus, do you play video games, Jesus, or no? Are you a gamer, Jesus?
yes, I used to actually game when I was 14, 13. To be honest, now I got older, so I don't really have a lot of time.
Sure. So yeah, so that's helpful to know. So if he needed like a really fast Wi-Fi, then that might be a challenge for him. But if he doesn't, then that's not big of a deal. And also the one thing that's really hard about Wi-Fi in New York City is Optimum can be really, I don't know how many of you have Optimum, but they like to raise their prices randomly. I was with Optimum for 2 years, $50 a month, and then randomly $75 out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, how'd this happen? I was paying $50 a month. And then I switched to Verizon Fios, which is much faster than Optimum was for the same price, $75 a month. And I'm pretty happy with them so far. I only had them for about 6 months, but they're much better. But not every building has Fios in New York City. I mean, the Bronx didn't get Fios until like 2 years ago. But Optimum is not ideal. So moving into a place that has internet already installed can be really good. So what we're going to do, we're going to open up with a don't tell anyone, but fiber optics is a ripoff. Okay. We're not going to do this. I want you to spend let's do 10 minutes. Opening activity, cost benefit analysis. You are on a project team. You're leading a very large scale project. The project sponsor wants to buy new laptops for every leader on the team. The team is 10 people, yourself included as a project manager, and you've been given a $15,000 budget. What machines are you choosing, and why would you choose that model? Remember to factor in elements like taxes, shipping costs, and softwares that need to be installed. So go ahead and put yourself off camera. Come back at 10:52, and let's see what computers you chose for your project team to take on this $10 million project. See you soon. All right, guys, we're at 10 more seconds, so please come back on camera if you're able. And if you think you found the winning computers for your team, give me a green check. If you're like, I'm not so sure this is I was able to find anything that works for our project, give me the red X. If you think, oh yeah, we got the best machines that we can get with our money and our budget, green check. Red X if you're a little bit reluctant about your answer. Okay, Moses, let's hear from you first. You gave a green check that you're confident that this is the right computer. What computer did you go with?
So the computer I went with is so right here. Hold on, let me just look it up because I have the page open.
Mm-hmm.
So what I decided to get was a Dell. It's a Dell XPS Tower Special Edition.
Okay.
All right. What I decided to do is upgrade to the 10th gen uh, Intel Core. By the way, this PC costs about $2,344. For another $100, you can upgrade to a better processor, 10th gen processor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the reason I went for PC is because you can actually it offers you deals to upgrade. Normally, to buy some of these parts, you would actually usually pay more, but since the website you're buying it from offers you to upgrade for cheaper, that's why I went for with this computer.
Okay, Moses. So if I'm the project sponsor and I say you have $15,000 to get 10 people computers and your computer costs $2,300 plus, how are you going to afford everybody to have their own computer when they go over budget?
Yes. That's something I didn't take into account.
No problem. I mean, it sounds like a great computer. I mean, I would like to have one of those, but unfortunately, it's a little bit beyond our budget. But thanks so much for sharing out, Moses. Certainly, a challenge about project management is that you have a deliverable and you also have a time and budget constraint, and fitting it in between those two can be really tough. Yes, Andre, I see your hand.
I just wanted to know if I could go.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I wasn't necessarily too sure about this laptop, but the one that I selected was a Dell laptop called the XPS 13 Touch laptop.
Mhm.
Roughly to get the 10 in order for each teammate, it would cost about a little bit under 11,000.
Okay.
To take that into consideration. It's lightweight, user friendly. It has most of the it has Windows 10 and most of the Microsoft Office is already installed.
Oh, that's great. And does that 1,100 include the shipping costs as well and taxes and everything?
If based off of the postal code, which is the where I pretty much live, it's free shipping and the tax is already included.
Oh, awesome. All right, Andre, thank you. So you came in under budget. Excellent. So I see, let's see here. I want to talk to somebody who's like, I couldn't find an adequate machine. So Jaleesa, you said, yeah, I couldn't find one that would be good enough for our team. I just was struggling with this. What happened with you?
Yeah, so the first one that I had chosen was actually over budget. It was
Mhm.
XPS 15 business laptop from Dell.
Okay.
That one was 1,549.
Mhm.
Not even including like the shipping and the taxes and stuff. So
Right.
that would definitely get me over budget. And then I kept looking for other ones that were specifically for business. I looked up laptops that were business, like specifically for business.
Mhm.
But a lot of them were just very expensive. So I couldn't find one that I'm like positive that.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking.
Okay, you have to keep looking. There's not actually a budget to buy any laptops. I wish there was because everyone needs a new laptop. But that is definitely the challenge, right? Is like you're like, where do I cut corners? What am I going to compromise on if I only have a certain amount of money? Amadul, last comment. That we're going to keep moving along.
I wanted to share.
Yeah, please.
Sure. So I made an Excel.
Oh man, Amadul
Great.
coming through with the Excel spreadsheet. A man after my own heart. I can
Okay, so
I can picture already. Project management, Amadul, project manager, Amadul. There he is. All right, let's see it.
Okay, so I went with the Lenovo laptop.
Uh-huh.
They're above 1,000, but they have a coupon right now going on.
Cool.
So I estimated towards 900 each with shipping included, and altogether it comes to 9,000. And then I realized that because it's a project and it will be private, you're gonna need like a antivirus software to keep everything secured. So we add that, becomes 300. And then other programs that are required by the company, which we can add more into.
Yep.
And the benefits are that it has touchpad, it has a high security built in, and then its durability is good and has long battery life. And
Absolutely. I love it, Amadou. I mean, I didn't tell you what project that you're working on, but imagine if you're working on a project where you have to be on the road quite a bit, or you're away from, power sources quite a bit. Having a long battery life, having durability is highly important. So yeah, I'm glad you wrote those down. Excellent. Thank you. So the reason that I want to do this as our opening, sort of brain teaser was that cost benefit analysis is a very important part of being a project manager and knowing why you're spending the money you're spending, and you can justify the cost of it. The second part of today's lesson is about time management. So why is time management important to the success of a project? So anybody want to raise their hand and take a whack at that? Why is time management so critical in project management? What do you guys think? Let's go with Pablo first.
I think it's critical because if you're working on a project, everyone depends on each other. So, if you start something and if they give you like a certain specific topic to start and they need you to finish it at the same time that everybody else finishes and you don't, then that looks bad on you because you didn't manage your time well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're working in a team and you say, hey, we're gonna get this done in a week, and it's okay, great. If it's done by Friday, then our team can pick up where you left off on Monday. And then Monday rolls around and it's like, oh, wait, we're not done with our portion yet. Then it puts a clog in the whole entire project. Absolutely, Pablo. Luis?
Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Time management in a project is important because I feel like the most important aspect of a project is having time to review. So if you finish at an ample amount of time, you would have a good amount of time to review the project.
Absolutely, Rahul. Absolutely, Luis. You're so smart. I actually would even go as far to say finishing on time is even more critical than finishing under budget, because there's nothing worse than a project that was supposed to be done in 6 months, taking a year, 18 months, on and on it goes, because keep in mind that the longer a project takes, the more money you're spending. So excellent point, Luis. We'll go Rahul, last comment, and then we're going to do a scenario that's going to be a lot of fun.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. It's Rahul. I was gonna build off what Luis said. Basically, time is money, and especially in groups like this, time is sensitive. If you're wasting money, you're basically losing money off of your budget. If you're saving money, you're saving money on your budget, which you can allocate towards the next project. So always need to be aware of the time.
Excellent. I love it. All right. Let's I was going to do this in a group project, but let's just do it at large because I think it'd be more fun that way. All right. Here we go. Here's our scenario we have to figure out. You're getting off work at 85 Broad Street and your mom, dad, grandparent, partner, someone texts you and says, pick up these following items on your way home. Everything bagel seasoning, which is only at Whole Foods, a Wendy's Frosty, a single roll of toilet paper, cauliflower nachi, which is only at Trader Joe's, which is very tasty, by the way. Pick up your repaired iPhone at the Apple Store in Grand Central. And you want to get all these items and be at home as quickly as possible. What is your game plan and how long will it take? So someone raise your hand and say, the first thing I'm going to pick up is this. You look at that list, you get the text message. Sounds like my mother every time I'm outside. What's the first thing in this list? Keep in mind, you're getting out of work at 85 Broad Street where Europe is. Yeah, Usman, did you have a question or a comment?
No, I was saying Eric had his hand. Lewis had his hands up.
Yeah. Luis, what was the first thing you're going to grab?
The repaired iPhone at the Apple Store, because I feel like that would be the longest line.
Okay, excellent. So I love it. So you leave Broad Street, you hop on the train, you go to the Apple Store and you grab that first. Okay. What are you grabbing second, David Torres?
Second, I would grab the everything bagel seasoning, just at Whole Foods.
Yeah,
Because there is a Whole Foods almost everywhere in Manhattan.
there's actually one right by Bryant Park, which is very close to Grand Central. So you get the iPhone, you run over to the Whole Foods by Bryant Park, you get your everything bagel seasoning. What are you grabbing third? Someone want to raise their hand and say, what are you grabbing third on this list? Yes, Mohammed.
Probably get the toilet paper.
Yeah, you get the toilet paper. Where would you get that?
Probably Walmart.
At where?
You could get the BJ or Walmart.
Okay, so there is no Walmart in New York City. So you're gonna leave New York City to buy a roll of toilet paper?
No way. Nah.
Does Whole Foods sell toilet paper? I don't even know if they do or not. They do. Okay, thank you. You guys are very fancy buying your TP at Whole Foods. So let's just say you buy your toilet paper at Whole Foods. It's organic toilet paper. All right, great. So now we got the iPhone's fix. Thank you, Mohammed. We got the toilet paper. We got the everything bagel seasoning. What's next, Amadul?
I would say Wendy's Frosty,
Okay.
because you're gonna be hungry by then.
Okay. But remember, you're bringing the Frosty home to the person who texted you. This is not for you to eat. Would that impact your decision or no?
No.
Okay, so
Okay.
Wendy's Frosty is next. All right. I see Karina's hand. So we have our bagel seasoning, our iPhone, our toilet paper, our Wendy's frosting, and then we have the cauliflower nachi is last. Is that what you're going to grab, or are you changing course, Karina?
That's the only thing left, right?
The only thing left, but what Trader Joe's are you going to go to? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Anybody can put in the chat box if you know what Trader Joe's that you would go to if that was the last thing to grab, or anything that you would change, Karina, about what we said so far.
Sorry, my mute button isn't working well. I was gonna say the same thing earlier about toilet paper, just getting it at Whole Foods. You can get just about anything at Whole Foods. I would get the Frosty last, because it's ice cream.
Yeah, good point, Karina. That's a good thing to think about. Maybe get the Frosty last because once your friend or your relative or whoever mad at you that you gave them a melted Frosty. Yeah, I see Manny's hand up. What would be your plan of action on this project, Manny?
Well, I know I will pick up the bagels first because I know that there's a Whole Foods by the Trade Center, and the Trade Center is near Broad Street. It's like 1 or 2 stops away.
Okay.
So I will go walking, and there I will go to the Grand Central to pick up the repair iPhone. And I don't know where there's a Trader Joe's, so they can get it themselves.
Okay.
So then I will go on my way home by 149th Street Grand Concourse to get a Wendy's Frosty, then go home and pick up the toilet paper.
Okay. There's a Wendy's by 149th and Grand Concourse?
I mean, sorry, Third Ave.
Third Ave. I was gonna say, man, I know where Wendy's are in the Bronx. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I used to work at Wendy's when I was younger, and I actually don't eat there anymore because I used to work there, and I've seen how food gets made, but that's beside the point. Anyways,
don't ruin it for us, Eric.
I'm not gonna ruin anything for anybody. It's totally fine. Good. But this is just an example of how you can, think through time management when it comes to a project. Just want to give you kind of a real life example. I love what someone put. This sounds like my mom every time I leave the house. Yeah, it sounds like my wife as well. So no more Wendy's on cheat days. Yeah, there you go, David. So let's go ahead and jump into today's lesson. Usman, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Usman. So you all are capable of reading this. I'm not going to read it to you. For those of you who are uncertain what it means when I say the PM BOK or PM Book of Knowledge, that is a very, very thick, comprehensive piece of literature that you can actually pick up In Schoology, I have the PDF version in there. If you really wanted to go deep into project management, that explains everything more than you would ever need to know. But this is what they say schedule management is when it comes to a project. It's just essentially the process of knowing how are things going to flow. And I'm going to kind of give you an idea of that here just in a moment. So first question I want to ask in the chat box, actually, I would rather have you raise your hand since I can't see the chat box. How do you determine how long something will take? So someone made a comment earlier, I'll go to the Apple store first because that would take the longest. How do you know how long something is going to take? Raise your hand if you think you know. I'll call on you. I promise it's not a trick question. It's pretty cut and dry. Yes, Andre?
I think sometimes what we may try to do is whatever task that we may be given, try to relate it to a somewhat similar task to gauge the different times.
Absolutely. Yeah. So related to a similar task that you've done. So if you've built an IKEA desk at one point in your life and it took you 2 hours, the next time you buy an IKEA desk, be pretty certain that's going to take about 2 hours. Usman?
Yeah, like you said, I would try to assess my prior knowledge to it. As I said, if it's something I feel like it's gonna be like going to the store that's not usually packed, you could just go in and out, or to a store where it takes you like 15 minutes before you get to a counter. You had prior relations with that store.
Yeah, absolutely. If you ever go to a Costco or a BJ's at Sunday at 2 p.m., like you're gonna be standing on that line for an hour plus. I've done it. It's not fun. But if you go there on like a Tuesday at 1 p.m., you're gonna have much better luck. So everyone already said what there are two really primary ways to gauge expert judgment. People have done it before, they have a feel for it, or analytical techniques comparing similar tasks and identifying trends. That's how long you can determine something is going to take. So real quick, so what is the first step in schedule management in the project management book of knowledge? In other words, it basically says you define the activities, like what needs to get done. So do you guys recall how we did the work breakdown structure last week? We had the work packages, 8 to 80 hours of work. That can even be broken down to a smaller level as well, and what needs to get done in order for this to be accomplished. So that's the activities that you have to define as you plan out your project. The next one, sequence activity, the process of identifying, documenting relationships and project activities. So like I said earlier, Luis made a really great point, is that time management is so critical in project management, because if I'm on a team, and let's suppose that one team has to complete a deliverable before my team can pick up on the next step. Imagine like a relay race running, right? I can't start running until I get handed the baton by the person behind me. Well, the person behind me twists his ankle halfway through his sprint and can't get to me. That's going to impact the whole entire time of the project getting done, the race being completed. So you have to identify what's the sequence of activities, what needs to happen in what order. So we already talked about this. Should picking up your Frosty from Wendy's being the first thing you do or the last thing you do? Well, it should be close to the last thing you do, because you don't want to show up with a Frosty that's already melted. Not to mention, you don't want to show up with you don't want to walk around for an hour zigzagging across Manhattan with a Frosty in your hand. That just sounds really annoying to me, at least. I'd rather just be the last thing. Honestly, if someone said picking up one single Frosty from Wendy's on my way home from work, I probably would just say 2 words, Uber Eats, and just not even do it, because I'm not getting you a Frosty. Get out of here. All right. So you estimate the activity resources. So in very simple terms, what do we need to get the job done? So, for our example, even though it's kind of silly, you can't buy toilet paper, or you can't buy, the cauliflower. You can't buy any of that stuff if you don't have what? If you don't have money, if you don't have a credit card. There was nothing in our activity list that was large in size, but maybe you need to have a bag, or you need to have an Uber to get you home if something's big and you just can't carry it. So you have to think through the activity resources. What do you need to get the job done? And then, of course, estimate the activity durations. How long will each individual task take? I know this might seem like very minute and very like, oh my gosh, you really have to get down to all these nitty gritty details. And ultimately, on a very large scale project, which some of you may be working on at some point in your career, you most certainly do. You have to get down to the nitty gritty details to know how long things are going to take, individual tasks are going to take. And keep in mind, this will be on Schoology later if you're feverishly taking notes. I see two hands, David and Ashley. David, do you have a question or a comment?
I was just gonna talk about how long, determining how long something will take, like a task. I was gonna say you also have to think about the constraints that also come in between doing those tasks. So let's say like if you're going to the store or you have to pick up items from like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, you have to think about like the commute times. What is cheaper, taking an Uber or taking the train, depending on which will get you there faster.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a really good point. Do you guys recall when John shared his story about moving all those products across the river that they made and they didn't have the right ships, right? Therefore, it took longer than it would have because they had to put everything on rafts. So that's remember the SWOT analysis, the last part of SWOT, SWOT. Anybody recall what the word was? Just unmute yourself and tell me.
Threats.
Threats. Thank you, Amna. That's an example of a threat. So when you're doing a activity duration, you have to factor in there are going to be threats. There's going to be things that are outside of your control. They're going to cause the project to be slowed down. So that's why it's good to sometimes overestimate how long things will take, as opposed to underestimate how long things will take. So that's exactly how that works. Also, by the way, John sent me pictures of that project. I'm going to share them after our break. It was actually really cool to see how they did it. And then the very last thing you want to do is you want to develop a schedule. The process of analyzing sequences, durations, this is really, in other words, creating a schedule with everything we discussed so far. So you have the work breakdown structure. These are the work packages. This is what needs to get done to accomplish the mission that we have, the project that we have. Now you make a schedule. So you can't get to letter B until you do letter A. You can't walk until you crawl. You have to be able to make sure that you're on schedule and on task to complete everything in the required time. And then the last thing is the control schedule, and that's making sure that you stay on task. So we'll talk more about this next week as we talk about monitoring and controlling. This is still in the planning phase, which I'm sure some of you are probably wondering, wow, why is the planning phase so long? Because the reality of it is, if you don't plan well, the project is going to go sideways very quickly. So when you control the schedule, so what do you do when you have a team or a project that says, we'll be done with this section in 30 days and it's day 28 and they're 10% done? You never want to get there as a project manager. You want to know by the end of week 1, hey, where are you at? Are you 25% done with this? Yes, I am. Okay, great. Let's keep moving along. You don't want to get to the end, the last day or two, and realize they're not even close to being done, because that puts a clog in the whole entire project. And then, of course, like I said earlier, that causes team frustration. That costs more money. That pushes everybody else's schedule behind. So we want to make sure that every team stays on top of their task. Yes, Ashley, do you have a question or comment?
Yes, I had a question.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So for the example, like you would go to get the iPhone first because that takes the longest time. What if that's not the priority? Like, how do you decide whether something is more important than others, regardless of the time it takes?
Yeah, that's a really great point. Usman, do you want to answer that question, or do you have another question?
Yeah, I want to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just like to refer to us as the book Vanessa have us reading, Mod 1, Eat That Frog. So like she said, like we probably have like 20, 30 tasks to do today, but 2 or 3 of those could like make up 80% of the importance, and the others are really like medium. Like, so you just gotta find out which one is more of a priority to you, which one will lead you to the most success.
Yeah, what do you think, Ashley? How would you answer your own question? That's a really good point, Usman. Thank you.
I think that there are some things that might be urgent and important, but urgent and not important. So I really don't know how I would answer it. It's something that I'll have to think about and give you a concrete answer at a later time.
Yeah, but I love what you said there. You're actually quoting, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. Have you ever read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Ashley?
I have the audiobook. I
Awesome.
haven't read it. I've listened to it.
Excellent. Even better. Yeah, he talks about that, that's the number one book that I recommend to people to read. Out of any book you'll read your entire life, read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I read it when I was probably 18 or 19 years old, and it changed my life for the better. But what he talks about in that book is how, there are things, what Ashley said, they're urgent and important. They need to get done. It's high priority. There's urgent and not important. There's not important and urgent, and then there's not important, not urgent. I mean, he talks about it a lot better in the book. You can just Google it and find him, or download the book on audio, or read the paperback, but really important a resource. I'd highly recommend it. So yeah, prioritizing what is most important is really a key skill that a project manager needs to have. So I'm glad that Ashley, you raised it. To Usman's point, I totally am in alignment with what he said. I think that's the right answer. I think you have to determine what is the must-haves and what are the nice-to-haves, right? So getting your iPhone fixed for a lot of people, that's a must-have. We must have our iPhone fixed. If we don't have seasoning, that's everything bagel seasoning, then that's okay. That's probably more of a nice-to-have. If you have toilet paper, that's really important. You need toilet paper. Life is not very much fun without toilet paper. But if you don't get the Frosty, well, you know what? That's quite okay. You can live without a Frosty. That's how it goes. Why have it fixed when we can buy a new one? Could do that too, Manny. If you're rolling money like you are, Manny. Not all of us are. So what I want to do is, it's 11:19. Wow, class is going by so quick today. Time flies when you're having fun. Take 15 minutes, watch this video, come back at 11:35. I'm doing the math right? Yeah, 11:35. And then we'll discuss the video, and then we'll call it a class. All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm already seeing comments in the chat box. Yeah, that video is super helpful, isn't it? A lot of the discrepancies that we wrestle with time management, he addresses head on, which is why I really enjoy his content. If you don't subscribe to him, I recommend that you do so. Real quick, let's just spend about 5 minutes. Someone want to raise their hand and just share what was a takeaway that you had from that video that's going to help you as you think about time management from a project management perspective. Yes, Andre.
He talked about not trying to fit a whole bunch of tasks in one day, knowing that there's already a lot of stuff to do during that day that's like counterproductive to your own progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Andre. It's definitely a temptation for all of us to pack a lot in. And I loved what he said. If you have a day that requires a lot of concentration or a lot of creativity, maybe that's all that you can do in the day, and just let that be it. Don't worry about smaller tasks that day. David, what would you add to that?
I want to add that he also mentioned that there are apps you can download, apps such as Toggle to help you, track your time and also split your tasks, like big tasks, into smaller tasks that can also help you estimate time.
Yes, absolutely. So splitting your tasks between small and large, and then yeah, the Toggle one was pretty. Was that the one that where you could like start a task and like record how long it was taking? Was it the same one? Yeah, that was pretty cool. So we all tend to overestimate or underestimate how long things will take. And Rahul, I saw you put in the chat box emphasizing prioritizing creative open tasks, spacing those out among admin tasks. What does that look like for you, Rahul? How do you do that in your day to day?
Hey again, guys. This is Rahul. So for me, in my day to day, I always try to do the eat the frog thing, as Usman mentioned. Getting rid of the biggest task every day is my biggest resolve. As far as creative tasks go, so I like to reflect a lot, as I've mentioned before, and I like to think of different ways I can, invest my time in the future. I tend to do more of that thinking on the weekend when I have a lot of free headspace, no assignments due immediately. On the weekdays, I'm more, manual task focused, more assignment focused. I'm trying to get rid of all my deliverables, all my quizzes and whatnot. So for that reason, like I found that really, relatable and important.
Excellent. Yeah, taking that time to reflect is so critical, and a lot of times we don't do that, right? We jump from one task to another, and any free time we have, at least for me, I'll speak in the first person. In my free time, I tend to look at my phone, look at Instagram, look at Facebook, read articles on Reddit. Like I don't actually take time to reflect. Majida and then Amna, then we're gonna keep moving on.
I was gonna say, like, for me, like, I'm somebody who's like it's very predictable of what one day might look like. Like, no day is the same. There might be like a whole different task coming in out of nowhere because like you don't even see it coming. So like I liked how you mentioned one of the apps, which was Toggle, I believe, and like it actually helps you measure how long each task might take, and you start seeing how long something takes. So I think I'm planning on implementing that. So like I actually like that.
Good. Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that was helpful for you, Majida. Amna, last comment, and then we're going to move on to the last thing for the day.
I personally, I work backwards. Like I like to procrastinate a lot. So when I'm trying not to procrastinate, what I do is I do the small, easy task first. And then I leave the big task at the end. So this way I know like I can't longer procrastinate on something. It's like, this is the only thing I have left to do. Let me get it done now. Like I have that mindset. It's like, that's the only thing on your list now. You have to get it done. Like there's nothing I could do. Oh, let me clean my room first. Oh, let me go do this first. Like I have none of that left. Like I have nothing left to procrastinate on.
Yes.
So, like I tend to do that. So
yeah, it's funny you say that because I know people who actually they like putting pressure on themselves. Like they like to just wait till the last minute and then just, oh shoot, I gotta write this paper in 2 hours and actually perform better that way. Well, hey, teach their own.
I am that person. Yes.
Well, there you go. Awesome. Yes, Majid, since that's me too, so you're not alone. All right, real quick before we wrap up, can you see my screen? All right, great. So this is the barge that they built in the Marines that John talked about on Monday. So as you can see, this is obviously a pretty big project. So that's what they built. And then there's a tank going on it. So this thing had to be pretty heavy duty. So you can see like on the left, there's like that little, it's pretty cool. Let me find this. It's like this, it looks like, I think this is the person commanding it. And that little tiny thing right there, moving this whole entire, device. Pretty incredible. And then there it goes across the water. So I think he said on Monday they're supposed to have 5. They only had 2. And the rest had to go on rafts. So that's an example of a project going sideways sometimes. So there you go. If you ever want to know what the Marines are doing here in the States, that's some big projects like that. There's a guy chilling on the tank. Yeah, that's funny. That was pretty cool that he did that. I was able to share that with us. So, Usman, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, Usman, I'm going to ask you to read out our deliverable for us. So here's the first part. So go ahead and read that for me. Oh, you cut out there for a second. You back? Yeah.
You're mute, bro.
Sorry about that, guys.
It's all right.
I must be off my game if Manny fixing me.
All right, Usman. So what's the first part of the deliverable have to do?
You completed the discussion board and letter to John and get in your home place.
Then your deliverable is?
Have a blessed weekend and see you on Monday, except Manny.
All right, everybody. It was wonderful to be with you. Have a great weekend, okay? Take care.
All right, it was great.
Thank you, Eric.
What have I done to you?
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Bye.
Eric, can I ask you something?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing my I'm working